flat Earth is like level 10 of conspiracies. It's so out there, but so challenging. For most people, it's just a step too far, and that's called cognitive dissonance, where you just can't. It's also known as normalcy bias, where you just snap back to what's normal for you. Because everyone knows the Earth's a globe, right? It's agreed, it's a consensus. But I would recommend people go looking into things like 5G, the big pharmaceutical companies who all want you sick, the suppression of cancer cures. And what you'll find is there is a conspiracy amongst the big global elites. They happen to be the directors and shareholders of mega corporations, and they act in their own interest.
Okay, so here we are at 70,000 feet. So this is as high as they're going to go. And you can see the lens distortion, obviously, the wing again pointing down towards the ground below the horizon. So we've got the lens distortion at the top of the frame.
There we are, ladies and gentlemen, 70,000 feet.
How high are you there, Adam?
70,000 feet.
70,000 feet. Okay, let's go back to your frame. And where's the curve behind you? Maybe it's just on the side.
Right now, the whole road is looking out. I'm going over.
Jumper away. Speed 725. Showing Felix in a stable descent. And Felix is back to Earth safely, the new world record holder.
And not only that, they made sure to photograph him standing there with a really wide-angle lens, which curves horizontal lines. So in the photo, you see this curvature of Earth's surface, and he said, wow, he's in space, look at that. No, he's not. At that height, you don't see the curvature of the Earth if you are 2 millimeters above this beach ball. You just don't. That stuff is flat.
All the pictures that they take of the Earth are composite images, so no images that we see are actually ever a camera from real far away looking at the Earth. Wait, what do you mean? They're all composite images, because they can't just get it all in one shot, so they have to go around the Earth and take a bunch of pictures, and then they piece it together.
International Space Station residents only see about 3% of Earth's surface at any one time.
If you zoom in on them, there's cloud formations that repeat several times, which, how could that ever really happen? They're just copying and pasting things.
There's a small problem with it because there's a very slight gap in between each orbit. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be.
That's one thing that builds distrust, because you have to have distrust of who's giving you your information to feel like maybe the flat Earth is feasible, right?
It is photoshopped, but it's has to be.
Click here for the site description. So when you do, a text file comes up, and you can see right here, they tell you that all of the images in the archive use the underlying colored land images from the NASA Blue Marble dataset. Yep. So the Himawari is actually totally debunked right there. These aren't real pictures coming from a satellite in a geostationary orbit above the Earth getting snapped every 10 minutes and being beamed down for us to all ooh and ah over. Let's briefly show you how they generate a picture every 10 minutes with what appears to be accurate in current weather. This is basically what they do. Now, don't take my word for it, as I always say. Go check it out for yourself. Now, for the weather over the land, the NOAA has supercomputers that take data coming in from all over the world, Doppler radar feeds, and crunch it all together and combine it with the weather simulation data over the oceans. This particular image is on the FTP server and is date and time stamped with October 11th, 2017 at 11:05 a.m. Now, here's the kicker. Go to the other file folder, which is the images that we get to see and are told are real pictures from space. But what they've simply done is taken the weather map picture of the whole ball they created, and they superimpose it over the Blue Marble data set, just like they said they did. So what you can see here is the final version of what we're spoon-fed and told is a picture taken by the Himawari from space, like, 10 minutes ago. This is the image from the same date and time, October 11th, 2017 at 11:05 a.m. And you can see that the weather is exactly the same. Watch it closely. There's your weather map comprised of simulated and Doppler radar being used to complete a composite image. If this is a real picture, how did they know where to put the clouds and weather on the part of the globe with no sunlight? It's completely dark there. It's all right here, guys. They are faking space. Hey, we all fell for it for a long time with their Doppler radar and weather simulation software building. Himawari debunked once and for all.
Moon temperature, that's a spooky one. I didn't even know that till about two years in, which is the moon generates a cold light, which is warmer in the moon shade than it is in the moonlight. If you magnify moonlight, it gets even colder. It's generating a cold laser light. It doesn't even make sense.
And immediately the compass points north. If I want to circumnavigate, I want to head west or east, but we're going to go west right now. So I'm heading west, and as you see, west keeps turning. So I have to keep going, and this is how, when you go west, you end up going all the way back to where you started from, because my compass keeps making me turn to go east.
Quite simply, objects fall or rise based on their relative density to the medium surrounding them. Apples fall because they are denser than the air, while helium balloons rise because they are lighter. No gravity necessary. This is why raindrops fall down through the air, and air bubbles rise up through water. Submarines float on the surface when their ballast tanks are filled with air, but when the vents are opened and seawater floods in, they begin to sink as the submarine's density becomes greater than water. And balance out the density of the plastic results in a gravity-defying, levitating balloon at equilibrium that neither rises nor falls.
Try spinning a wet tennis ball or any other spherical object with smaller things placed on its surface, and you will find that everything falls or flies off, and nothing sticks to or orbits around it. To claim the existence of a physical law without a single practical evidential example is hearsay, not science.
The surface of the Earth is charged negatively.
Instead of being positive and negative like we are here on Earth, with the negative on the bottom and the positive on the top, I've reversed it. And it sticks to the negative, just like here on Earth. Now I know there's a lot of people that don't like saying the word gravity, but there is a force. It is not Newtonian, it is not Einsteinian, but there is a force that is creating this, up and down, which tells denser objects which way to go and makes relative density work. And it's just all electricity. That's all it is. Just like everything else around here. Every chemical reaction, every fire, every sound, everything is electricity vibrating. It's okay to call it gravity. It's the only way people are going to understand what we're talking about.
When we move, our vanishing point also moves with us. And therefore, what we can see in the sky moves with us too. We know the sky appears to the eye as a dome, but this could be due to perspective. I mean, here it looks like the ground goes up and that the tracks go together, when we know these aren't true. The human eye's vanishing point shows us a visual reality that is not always objective. If we go up in altitude, the sun comes back into one's field of view as the vanishing point has increased.
It's also consistent with flat Earth and a flat plane due to perspective convergence. Raise your eyes up to each mortar line, right? And as you can see from this picture, they're all going to converge at a point in the distance, right? So that point in the distance is your horizon. So take that same building now and move it a mile beyond the horizon. Now the building has gotten smaller relative to the horizon. See what I mean? So now a much bigger portion of it is blocked from the bottom up. And now move that building another mile beyond the horizon. And it keeps getting smaller relative to this blocking horizon. Remember, the horizon forms right in the center of your eye. So you already have part of it blocked already, part of your vision, because it forms in the center of your lens. It would be, as you look out towards the horizon, that's your z-axis, That's your longitudinal axis. That's from your eye out, right, in any direction. So if they're claiming curvature on that axis, what about the horizon or the horizontal axis, your x-axis? Well, we don't see any curvature on that. So it's ludicrous to say that you see curvature on the z-axis, but not on the x or the horizontal axis. That's just another point. So that confirms that what we're seeing is a perspective horizon. It's not a curvature horizon.
And at the same time, I've looked at my laptop and I've seen where I am.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not saying there's something up there. No question. Is there a vehicle that could be the ISS up there? Yeah. Are there people inside it? No. Not a chance. And you can look at the interior footage and the production value is horrible. I challenge anybody. We've got
I've interviewed, both of us, we've interviewed Tim Peake from this sofa.
I know. And
so what was I doing? Who was I talking to? Where was he?
You were talking to a military officer, nothing more. I talked to Terry Virts, you know, American astronaut. And look, they're all, you got to remember, everybody that goes up there are high-ranking military. They start out at colonel and go...
Why would he bother?
Why would you bother faking it?
Yeah, why? What's the point of faking it?
Well, that's one of the bigger questions, which is why keep this thing a secret? And we're talking about...
No, but why fake it?
Because if you don't fake it, eventually the private industry is going to get involved, and then they're going to find out on their own. This is
and why that would be bad, because
if you don't keep this thing a secret. Remember, we're talking about something that was discovered back in 1960. The public wasn't ready in 1960. They just weren't. Their potential academically, economically, religiously, chaos potentially. And so they weren't going to take that chance.
So pilots are involved in this?
No, not at all. No. Pilots, scientists, none of those people. I have astrophysicists, Brian Cox. None of them have anything to do with it.
Okay, so all of those people, right? Every NASA science, everyone who's scientist, everyone who's ever been involved at any stage in any space program, all
it's
pointless.
No. I mean, jobs are created, and it's compartmentalization. I mean, it's no different. Look, generals know the battle plans, but most of the officers below them don't.
Were the Apollo, those massive Apollo...
We've been to the moon, right?
Were those Apollo rockets that went up into the air, did they go?
They didn't go anywhere. They just went off into the ocean and ditched. That was... again, I'm an American. Look, we're taught, you know, rah, rah, go team, wave the flag, and so it's tough for me.
But I've seen a ship go into space. I've seen it leave the Earth, and I've watched it, you know, at Cape Canaveral. There has been space travel, right?
Did you see a ship go into space, or did you just see it go off into the distance? Did it go straight up, or did it go an angle? That's because it's following that, you know, that parabola. All rockets do that. They follow that curve, and then they go back into the ocean. Recently, I think there were some explorers that were doing some deep sea diving down by Cape Canaveral. They found thousands of the rockets, fuselage rockets, and the rockets themselves. They were not going to space, they were going into the ocean. If we knew that we were on a flat, motionless plane that was the center of all we observe, wouldn't we have a different outlook in life?
Amongst your people, amongst your flat earthers, you argue amongst yourselves as well.
Like the Scottish Highlands, we argue.
You have been accused yourself as being sort of a member, I think, of Warner Brothers or something. You're making this up.
Government agent,
So, I mean, aren't you just all turning on yourselves? Like, you can't believe anything.
No.
It's not even your own.
At the end of the day, again, like the Scottish Highlands, no offense, but, you know, they can all agree on one thing. They hate the English. That's the same sort of thing here. We disagree on so many of the finer points here. But at the end of the day, we all agree on one thing, and that is not a globe. And you can absolutely, you can hammer on the globe. Everybody starts out hating flat Earth, and everybody tears down the globe themselves.
No, you've never seen the curvature of the Earth from an airplane window. Fortunately, you don't have to be a death-defying aeronaut to see what's up there. What you're seeing right now is a video from 121,000 feet. Whenever you're shown a picture of a high-altitude balloon or even a high flight, you're shown something phony like this. This isn't once in a while, this is the standard. It turns out that these so-called curvature photos and videos were all shot with a fisheye or ultra-wide angle lens to get this effect. It's a curvature illusion. Did you know that NASA has hundreds of these satellite balloons up in the air right now? Google and many other companies have fleets of these balloons as well. Look up Project Loon. The fact that NASA and its subsidiaries hardly discuss these so-called satellites was a huge proof for me, because it evinces a deliberate effort to conceal the fact that space satellites don't exist. These high-altitude balloons can carry 8,000 pounds and include telescopes, radar equipment, communications equipment, internet, etc. Here's one that almost killed some people. Also, never mentioned is the fact that almost all of our alleged communications come from undersea cables and cell towers, not supposed satellites in space. Your cable and satellite radio do not come from space. What about the Hubble telescope? This is the Hubble telescope. It's called SOFIA. One flat earther was able to get a NASA manager to admit on the phone that the images from SOFIA were strangely being used as Hubble's images.
Always take a weird route. Like, there was an airplane that was going from the Philippines to Los Angeles, which should be a straight route, Philippines to Los Angeles. Mid-flight, a woman, her water broke. So they had to make emergency landing. They could have either just turned around or kept going to Los Angeles. Somehow they ended up in Alaska. So the flight plan to get them from Philippines to Alaska, if you put it on the flat Earth map, it's a straight line from the Philippines to Alaska. But when you put it on a globe, it makes no sense.
So that's why Hollywood's there. It's to get their story to you first.
You know, because they're just trying to set you up like this is the story, and then people just don't question it. Because I don't even know what the hell this realm is. I mean, it could be, you know, consciousness vibrating, and I don't know. But I know it's not. We're not standing on a spinning ball, and it's like their argument is it starts with snipers factor in the Earth spinning, and I'm like, no, none do. We need to know exactly the direction, the spin of the Earth, and how to you know, combat it, or else we're gonna miss. There's no spin of the Earth. Take the shot, retard. But that would mean Neil deGrasse Tyson is wrong, and you miss every single shot when we do this. Tell me the spin of the Earth. Like, okay, down to the left 16 inches. No. They saw us. I missed a shot. I guess it was spinning a little faster than I thought. Tons of snipers. And they're like, oh, well then, there was an experiment 3,000 years ago in Alexandria with 2 pillars. And I'm like, I can disprove that with 2 beer bottles and a flashlight. And then,
how is it possible to have shadows in Alexandria and not in Syene at the same time of the day?
Oh, easy. When you have a small local sun, everything works out exactly the same.
Here was the proof that the Earth's surface is curved.
Wait, what?
Here was the proof that the Earth's surface is curved. That the Earth's surface is curved. Proof.
No.
Proof.
No.
Proof.
No.
He thought to himself, how is it possible to have shadows in Alexandria and not in Syene at the same time of the day?
Alright, so I guess I'll explain it again. If you look here on the screen, we've got Syene and we've got Alexandria, and let's say we've got 500 miles between them, and you'll see the small local sun above the first pillar, which causes the second pillar to have a shadow, yet it's sitting on a plane, not on a sphere. There's no reason why his name should be brought up ever again. So, globe believers, teachers, intellectuals, it's basically time you drop the Eratosthenes myth. You're holding on to another religious dogma.
A story to cover up something else that was far more significant. And that it wasn't a crash flying saucer, it was something else. Kind of a Trojan horse, if you will. So it has the whole UFO space alien thing being a cover story for something else. I mean, I've seen UFOs. I saw a UFO myself in broad daylight. But there's a lot of reports of UFO coming out of mountains, coming out of hills, coming out of the ocean. You know, and what is a UFO? It's an unidentified flying object. So something that's in the sky that you can't identify, that happens to be flying in the sky, is a UFO by default. Doesn't mean it comes from outer space or another planet or anything. It just means it's tech that we don't know about, that we can't identify.
Skated a little bit. So, back to the R value. Apparently, the globe is backed by science. Now I would like to know what your scientific evidence for that value of R is, please.
That's irrelevant though, because all I'm using...
You are basing the entire calculation on this R value. In your hand-scribbled notes left in one of the comments, presumably by your own hand, it had approximately 9 references to this R value, Mick. So why would you assert that it's irrelevant? I'm looking for scientific evidence.
I'm just using the standard size.
You're manipulating the radius of the Earth to satisfy the notion that it appears to look flat, but you want it to be a ball.
Well, what value of R would create a flat Earth? It would have to be
An assumption. You assume that we live on a sphere. You said it yourself.
Yes, I do. I assume we live on a sphere.
Right. So there's no science behind this whatsoever. It's based on Mick West's assumption. You're having a laugh, aren't you, fella?
We can.
What, are you just stuttering again? Are you having a laugh? I've had a lot of baltards assert that this is science, my friend.
The best way of checking it that I've found is to use a distant island.
What the hell are you talking about? I want to know what your scientific evidence of R is, and you have asserted that this is a goddamn assumption. How dare you? How dare you tell other people to go and prove their Earth with your assumption and your rules of thumb? Who the hell do you think you are?
Listen, you know, of all the things that are going on in the world, of everything that's happening, I think we'd all probably cope if someone said, actually, it looks like this.
I think we would too.
Okay, all right, fine.
I absolutely agree with you, which is why I think it's being let out. I'm not doing
Stop spending all the money on CGI and space products and projects, and let's build some more hospitals.
Absolutely.
I think we can all cope with it.
I agree. 1960, I don't think we were ready. 2020, I think we are.
Let's go there and see what's like on the other side. There might be nicer places to be. It could be a good holiday destination.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
We could put it on the splintered window.
I think we're ready to know. Tell us.
Thank you. Thank you. Fascinating.
How is it possible that these same 3 birds are visible at 2 different times? One with a helicopter there and one with it without it there. It's pretty obvious that this is just video manipulation and pseudoscience. This isn't... If this was so easy to demonstrate the curvature of the Earth, why would they have to fake this? I mean, it's obvious that this has just totally been faked. On PBS, nonetheless. You know, millions of people watch this worldwide.
They are twice as far away as before. How much lower will the far shore of the lake appear to be?
Alright, notice those birds flying across there?
As it lands, and it completely disappears from my line of sight. The reports from the helicopter, they're still flying. But I can't see it.
Hey Joey, go ahead and lift off. They plan to ascend until Jim can see them on the horizon. Then they'll tell him their altitude.
Let me know when you can see us on spot on the horizon.
They're about to come up over the horizon there. And here we see some birds. Let's just inch forward.
6 miles, the lake has fallen 4 times lower than before. So what is going on?
So that means this lake isn't flat.
It's not even close.
No.
With these measurements on the lake, we can calculate that the Earth's circumference is around 25,000 miles, which matches Eratosthenes' calculation.
I still have a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that we measure the Earth at that lake.
I'll never look at the lake the same way. I'll never look at a big body of water the same way now that I know that it's following the curvature of the Earth.
Brainwashing on public television.